We're building a village today. The project began around a week ago, but the initial inspiration for the build came from this video by Flip around 2 months ago. And ever since that, I wanted to build something like that. So here we are. We're building this village just outside the main starter area. So we had to start by clearing a small chunk of the forest. We might expand the village in the future, but for now we're just gonna build 6 or 7 houses. Although the land was pretty smooth, I did some light terraforming to make little more space. I also outlined some of the build along with these boulders, which will add more details later. Now before I start working on the house, I want to talk about the thought process behind the build. Take this house for an example. It's a pretty nice house, but combine this with another similar looking house and now you get 2 different builds. Now you add another one of those on top of this one, you get a third house. You play around with this for a while and you get a long list of unique houses. Now you can change the build palette, sometimes change the shape and so on. Now for the build palette for my village, I went for spruce and oak for wall with a tough foundation. And for the roof, we went for deep slate outline with jungle planks. For the interior of the first house, I decided to build a sugarcane farm, which took up most of the space for decoration, but I think it turned out pretty nice at the end. Now build number 2 is my favorite. It turned out perfect. Everything from the size to the tower on top came together perfectly. So I decided to make this my house in the village. So I designed this cozy interior with some bookshelf and a bed. I even have another bedroom on the second floor. Build number 3 is basically build number 1 with the top floor facing different direction. For the interior, I went with a small flower soft vibe and I built a glow lichen farm on the second floor. Now house number 4 is built on a diagonal, so the roof turned out pretty interesting. I also added a chimney to add a little more complexity to the build. For the interiors, I built a root farm. From there, I tried to make the remaining space look good. I think it looks decent. Now house number 6 is an L-shaped house, which I plan to be the town hall for the village. Although this build is the biggest out of all, it still is the same design, so I don't have a lot to talk about it, especially because I didn't do the interior. After completing the build, I started working on the paths to connect everything. I also added sidewalks and bunch of minor details to make the town more immersive. From there, I started working on the center tree, which serves 2 purposes. 1, to be a nice centerpiece, and 2, to block the view while you're walking along the village, so that instead of seeing the whole village at once, you only see 1 or 2 built at a time. At this point, the residential portion of the town was complete, so I moved on to the cathedral at top. Now the theme of this build is completely different from the rest. Instead of bright and colorful, I went with dark gothic style. And I think it turned out pretty nice, especially from this location. After that, I connected it to the main street and textured the boulder. And after finally bone milling the area, the build is complete. Apart from one thing, a cherry tree on this side of the boulder. You see, one thing missing from this village is a story, and by adding a cherry tree in the middle of a forest, we open a door for a series of stories that we can make. So I collect bunch of resources and build the tree. And this is what it looks like. Now this whole project was a short break for me from the giant build and farm. I was feeling a little burnout creeping in, but somehow working on this village were really enjoyable and I can't wait to build more. But that is it for today. If you like 100 days video, click on this one and I will see you in the next one.